Apostolic Church. Thank
Apostolic.
you. Got tongue-tied there, Pastor. Sorry about that. Please come forward. Everyone, if you so choose, please stand with me and remain standing for the pledge to our nation's flag.
That is not a problem, Mayor. I think 90% of the people pronounce it that way. And so I do want to say on behalf of the Apostolic Church, who celebrates their 75th year in Beaumont this month, that we greatly appreciate each one of you, and we genuinely pray for you and thank you for your service to the city. And our people are extremely grateful. And so let's join together and ask the Lord to bless this time of business today. Lord Jesus, we come before you right now, Father. So thankful for your faithfulness, oh God, your goodness unto us, Lord. Lord, we ask that your presence would be in this room right now and would give wisdom. Wisdom, Lord, where you are sought and desired, God. You said if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask. And you would give abundantly, Lord. And for this group of men and women that lead this city, O Lord, and serve its people, I pray for wisdom right now, God, that goes beyond human ability, but God comes spiritually from you. I pray, Lord, that your presence would fill this room, Lord, would bless these men and women and strengthen them as they lead us and direct us, Lord. In your precious, holy name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. God bless you.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. May we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Ames.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Felshaw.
Present.
Councilmember Neal.
Present.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Getz.
Present.
Councilmember Neal.
Present.
Councilmember Pate. Here. Councilmember Samuel.
Present.
And Councilmember Mouton.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. I do see that we have some elected officials in our audience, some school board members. If y'all would like to stand, please, and be recognized, we appreciate y'all coming today. And I believe behind that mask, I also see former Mayor David Moore. Isn't that you, David? Thank you for coming. We do have one proclamation today, and it will be given by Councilmember Pate.
Thank you, Mayor. Wow. Whereas the City of Beaumont joins the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, or as we refer to it as HUD, the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and other, excuse me just a second, other housing agencies in the celebration of the anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, which enunciated a national policy of housing for all who live in the United States. Whereas fair housing prohibition discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, family status, or national origin. And whereas additional housing is a hard need and right for all people. And whereas discrimination in housing is against the law, and no person shall be discriminated against in sale, rental, advertising of residential dwellings. And that is the provision of the brokerage and lending agencies or in the availability of residential and real estate transactions. Whereas the City of Beaumont encourages and supports fair housing practices and realizes that fair housing is a positive community good, that goes without saying, and therefore Mayor Becky Ames does hereby proclaim the month of April 21st, Fair Housing Month, advocating for equal housing opportunities for all residents. It's signed this day, April 12th, by Mayor Becky Ames, and will be accepted by the world famous Chris Boone, who's in charge of community development as a director here for the City of Beaumont. Yay, Chris, you're doing a great job.
Please feel free to say a few words, Mr. Boone.
Thank you, thank you. I will be brief. Mayor and council, I appreciate this this proclamation. As many of us know, we do this annually to recognize Fair Housing Month within the city. And as you know, the city is committed fully to fair housing. This commitment begins with serving as a place for citizens to bring any fair housing complaints that they may have, as outlined within the city ordinance. And I'll use this opportunity, if I could, to just mention again that if anyone ever feels that they do or have been denied access to adequate housing due to race, color, religion, national origin, handicap, or familial status, this indeed may be a violation of city ordinances. And as such, we encourage them to contact our office, the Planning Community Development Office, here at City Hall, or we can be reached by phone at 880-3100 to discuss the matter further. Beyond this, our commitment to fair housing extends to ensuring that all city codes and ordinances, capital project expenditures, and disaster recovery dollars are provided equitably, affirmatively furthering the tenets of the goals of fair housing. And again, I thank you for this proclamation and continue our continued commitment to fair housing within the city of Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate all that y'all do for our citizens. Thank you. That concludes our proclamations. So now would be the time for any citizen who wishes to speak. If you would like to make public comment on scheduled agenda items 1 through 4 or the consent agenda, the time to do so is now. If you would like to speak on one of these items and you haven't already done so, please fill out the green slip at the rear of the room, hand it to the city clerk at the front of the room. She will call out your name. We would appreciate if you'd keep your comments to 3 minutes. The green light will come on when you approach the podium, and the red light will come on when your time is up. Right now, it's for 1 through 4 or the consent agenda. I will open up the microphone at the end of our general business for the purpose of any other comments. Is there anyone?
Yes, ma'am. Daryl Antoine, 7960 Silverleaf, Beaumont, Texas, item number 4 on the agenda.
Good afternoon. My name is Daryl Antoine. I'm coming on behalf of BISD School Board because we see that you have on your agenda once again for the resolution of authorizing additional compensation to Beaumont Independent School District relating to the school guards. First of all, let me thank those that put this back on the agenda because I'm thinking that the first time this happened, I'm hoping that there was a misunderstanding of what it was that we were trying to do in making sure that we keep in communication and keep in good business with the city. I think the two highest paid entities in this city getting most of the tax money should be able to work together, especially when it comes to our kids. I understand that there are schools that may not use the bus system, but that's what they chose to do. But we have citizens that expected our kids to use the bus system to get their kids to school. And when that happened, it hurt a lot of people, even though it didn't hurt BISD. What hurt it was that why would you break up a 20-year relationship behind $90,000 for the smallest and the most precious of our community? So I come today hoping that you guys get an opportunity to reconsider and re-vote on this thing, and then I'm hoping in the future we have an opportunity to come together and work on other things because there are some things in BISD that we think we should be able to come to the city for. And I'm hoping right now, just like the city come for us for school buses during hurricanes and everything else, and we have not yet faltered. So we're asking that you guys take a look at this again and thank the guys that did put it back on the agenda. And I'm hoping that God touched the heart of each one of you guys that's sitting up here to realize that this is not for BISD, but this is for the most precious ones in BISD. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Antoine, and that was for item number 4.
Yes,
Robert Dunn, 6340 Durango Drive, Beaumont, Texas, item number 4 on the agenda.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. As stated, my name is Robert Dunn. I'm a member of the school board. And the last time we were here and Mr. Antoine and I spoke, I got the impression that there was some misunderstanding about what you guys voted on. And after speaking to several council members, realized that that was in fact the case. And we're appreciative that this is brought back up again to be discussed and possibly voted on. In the future, I think that we need to work closer together, the city council, mayor, and the school board, to get some things done, because this is about the children. This is about the teachers, and this is about the staff of BISD. We should be as one. We're supposed to be supporting Beaumont and its people, and we should work together to do that. So I'm hopeful that in the future we'll be able to sit down as two different groups and work together for one common cause. And I appreciate your efforts on this agenda item. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Paul Martin, 2485 Hazel, Beaumont, Texas, item number 4.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. I wanted to speak in support of item number 4, authorizing additional compensation to the BISD for a school crossing guard program, on multiple reasons. Number one, children are our most precious resource, and we must keep them safe. And if the city of Beaumont has the funds to do that, then absolutely the city of Beaumont should reach out and make that partnership. Secondly, I've heard in recent months many of the people on the dais speak about how important it is to partner with BISD to further the city. And this is an opportunity for that to happen. It's to put the money where the mouth is, so to speak, and get this done. As a father, and as a father whose children have attended BISD schools in the past, that are excellent schools, we should be working to make sure that they are protected at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Brooksy East, 2128 Orange Street, Beaumont, Texas, item number 4.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi.
I am currently developing a garden in the avenues of Beaumont to help feed the over 40% of children who have a shortage of food. Along with the issues that's occurring in the avenues, I just came to politely remind you that there are 320 registered sex offenders in the avenue of Beaumont. And you can find this information on Family
Sorry,
Watchdog.
Ms. East, which item are you speaking on?
The school board,
Oh,
I mean
okay.
the crossing.
All right, go ahead.
I apologize.
I apologize for interrupting you.
So it's easily decipherable that the registered sex offenders are not 2,000 yards away from the schools. So it's very important to keep these children safe. And along with the sex offenders being there, we currently don't have any ordinances on the grown men drinking beer at our neighborhood parks. So I'm just politely asking you to reevaluate and just partner for the safety of the children and the, like I said, 320 registered sex offenders that are around the schools and not within legal distance of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. East.
Tracy Bellard Orline, 6050, and I think that's Chisholm, Beaumont, Texas, item number 4.
I think you guys can hear me because I
Yes.
can't get up there.
She's going to get it for you, Ms. Ordwine.
Okay, I hope it didn't take up my time doing
No, ma'am.
Haven't started yet.
Okay, great. I've never done this before, so I'm like totally freaking out in my chair. But I did want, I thought about it and I decided to be brave and come up here anyway. I have 2 children. My baby girl was almost taken from me at the mall. She was a year old. And I had just turned my head, like just got through yelling at them for hiding in the clothes because you can't see them. when they're in the closet. Just after saying, stay where I can see you. And even though I was right there, some man got my baby away from me. Had I not looked as soon as I did and been able to put this Maserati on high, I would not have my girl today. So I was thinking about, and I am not angry or anything. I'm a mama, and I'm mama to many. I volunteered in the school district for years because I love children, and I know what it feels like when people don't understand you or when you feel left out. And that's another point I wanted to make. I don't understand why there needs to be a partnership. It should be happening anyway. I am one of those people who, because I'm too smart and not disabled enough, I fell through many cracks because no one connected the dots. No one connected the dots. And because I'm able to go out and speak to you guys and go out and be active, I can do things for myself. But what about the others who can't do that? So I'm confused as to why there's not a combination of every governing organization or entity. And I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Forgeline. And don't be nervous. You did great.
Stacy Lewis Jr., 1775 Rivercrest, Beaumont, Texas. Item number 4.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor, council members. My name is Stacy Lewis Jr. I want to say that first we build bridges. We don't build walls. And in this case, streets belong to you and children belong to me. I want to make sure that we have a good partnership moving forward. And in order to do this, we have to remember social responsibility. It's not always about the money that we spend, but it's about what our duty and our dedication is to the people that we serve. And you all serve. I'm serving our younger generation, and you serve our current generation. I just want to point out something why it's so important for us to make sure that we reinstate our partnership. We have a speeding issue that usually go on our streets. So our frontline workers are our crossing guards. They are of all ages, and they make sure they protect our young adults, our future leaders, people who look like me, people who are young like me. Also, while we're at this, I thank you for putting this on the agenda. Can we also look at revitalizing and bringing back the summer food program? Thank you for your time. May God bless you and keep you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Daniel Ozan, 6695 Knollwood Drive, Beaumont, Texas. Item number 4.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
I'm sure most of you guys probably know anyway, but for me, as a parent, we drive our kids, we're fortunate enough to drive our kids to school, so it's not about my kids, but all kids in general. To me, it's like a no-brainer. I'm hoping it was an accident, that the vote first time was an accident. And I think we say this all the time, that our kids are our next generation, next mayor, next councilman, next president. So to me, it's a no-brainer not to even partnership, to me. So it's like playing Russian roulette. If it doesn't go through, you don't partnership. Now our kids across the street taking a chance of getting hit, even though they may have police out there at at the schools. But you can take this one fool to run through the streets, through the school zone, hit one of our kids. Then what? It's too late. It's too late. So for me, your grandkids, some of you may even have kids that's walking to school or crossing, doing a crossing guard or what the case may be. So it's a no-brainer. So I'm hoping you guys come together. Don't take a split second thought to go ahead and just do it. I know easier said than done, I know. Just do it. I mean, it's our kids, next generation. They don't say everything, so I just wanted to say my piece anyway. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ozan.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Is there any other citizen who wishes to speak today on items 1 through 4 or the consent agenda? There being no one, council, I'll consider a motion, please, for the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Got it? Councilmember Mouton and Councilmember Getz? Correct? Yes, okay. There's a motion and a second on the floor for approval of the consent agenda. Is there any questions or discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion for approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item number 1, please.
Mayor and Council, item number 1 is an ordinance entitled, an ordinance granting a franchise for solid waste collection and transportation services to G&H Solutions LLC. According to the Code of Ordinances, no person shall engage in the business of collecting, hauling, or transporting any garbage without first having obtained a franchise from the city. The agreement would provide for a term of 1 year from its effective date and a franchise fee of 7% of gross revenues received for service. According to the city charter, franchise ordinances require readings at 3 separate council meetings. This is the first reading today. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. Council, you have heard the reading of item number 1. Is there a motion on this item, please?
Move to approve.
There's a motion, and did you second? There's a motion and a second. Councilmember Nealdon Getz. Is there any discussion?
I got a comment, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for the citizens to understand, one of the charter changes that is going to be on the ballot starting next week is actually pertaining to these franchises, where we will be changing it to 1 reading versus 3. Is that correct, Mr. Manager? Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? There's a motion and a second on the floor for approval of item number 1. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion also carries unanimously. Item number 2, please.
Item number 2 is to consider resolution authorizing the city manager to award a contract to Brystar Contracting Incorporated for the lift station and wastewater treatment plant repair, Tropical Storm Harvey, wastewater treatment plant influent lift station project. The project will provide flood mitigation for the influent lift station at the city's wastewater treatment plant and provide for drainage work along Laffin Road. The project is in the amount of $169,430. The water utility staff agrees with Schomburg and Polk Incorporated and recommends awarding the project to Brystar. A total of 120 calendar days are allocated for the project. Funds are available in the Harvey Fund and from FEMA. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. Council, you have heard the reading of item number 2. May I have a motion on this item, please?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor by Councilmember Felshaw and a second by Councilmember Pate. Is there any discussion, questions, comments? There being none, great. All in favor of the motion for approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Good project. Item number 3, please.
Item number 3 is to consider resolution approving the purchase of additional nodes for our virtual server system from CDW Government LLC of Vernon Hills, Illinois. Pricing was obtained through the state of Texas's Department of, it's called the Department of Information, or DIR. DIR provides cities and political subdivisions with the means to purchase information technology at volume prices that are contracted under the procurement statutes of the state of Texas. So the city uses a server system that allows for many servers to be created virtually instead of having to buy, house, and maintain a physical piece of hardware for every server. The current system was purchased in 2018 and has reached its maximum capacity of servers that there is space available for. The additional nodes were budgeted for in the amount of $103,000 in the general fund. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. Council, you have heard the reading of item number 3. May I have a motion on this item, please?
Move to approve.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion for approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion also carries unanimously. Item number 4, please.
Mayor and Council, item number 4 is to consider a resolution authorizing additional compensation to the Beaumont Independent School District related to the school crossing guard program. The City Council authorized an interlocal agreement with the school district on September the 15th, 2020, that obligated the city to compensate the district for specific amounts related to the crossing guard program through 2023. This item was placed on the agenda for consideration by Councilmember Mouton and Councilmember Samuel to specifically discuss the city's funding amounts in future years.
Thank you. Council, you have heard the reading of item number 4. May I have a motion on this item, please?
So moved to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. And there's any discussion, comments, or questions. I would like to make a comment first. I do believe that my position on this hasn't changed. I agreed with where we were before. I strongly believe that traffic and our streets are the city's responsibility. And that's why I voted to keep it the same the last time. I'd also like to add that through many natural disasters that I've been through in our city, the school district has been a great partner to the city. And your chief of police is always at our briefings, and a lot of times your superintendent as well. And I just want to say that I want to continue that partnership because I think it's important for our citizens. And I would like to go back to where we were before this vote took place. And like I said, I did vote for it to remain the last time, and I will vote again to change it back. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
I recall back when we first started the intergovernmental agreement with BISD, it's because we both have the responsibility of keeping our children safe. It's our responsibility to keep all citizens safe in our community. However, we believe that, or there were some that believed that BISD also shared that responsibility, and we became partners and we worked together for that common goal. I'm not certain as to why the decision was made on some's part to get away from that. But intergovernmental agreements go beyond one circumstance. We've never had any pushback from BISD when the city was in need, whether it be with their facilities or whether it be their fields or whether it be the schools or personnel. BISD has been good partners. And I think it's essential in any city that we continue to work together for a common goal, particularly when both entities are funded by the taxpayers. So it makes sense to me that we should continue an ongoing relationship, and I hope that other members of council will agree and understand the same thing.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Mouton, I'm sorry.
That's
Yes.
okay. Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that I felt it was my social responsibility to put this back on the agenda, and I thank Councilmember Samuel for giving me a second on this motion. Our children are our future and our resources. There is no way we can be a city and not unify our school district. This is part of coming together, being supportive of each other. Those streets belong to the city of Beaumont. I feel it is our responsibility as council members of this city to make sure that we are protecting our little citizens. They're our responsibility, and I'm glad that it's back on the agenda, and I hope that all of my council members will look at it in that very same light. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Neal.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we table this until a joint workshop between the Board of Trustees and the council can be scheduled. The I don't think anybody up here wants to see us get rid of crossing guards. I don't think that's the intent now, and I don't think that was the intent in the past. And so, but because we want to form a better partnership, I would like to schedule this joint meeting.
Okay, you made a motion, but the others have to be rescinded before another motion can be put on the floor.
No, ma'am.
And I second Councilmember Neal's motion to table this, which I believe any amended motion has to take priority and be dealt with
Would you help me,
before.
please? Is that the
But
case?
I think any amended motion has to be dealt with, and you don't need the agreement of the people making the motion under our rules. But I want to say this. I absolutely agree that crossing guards are essential. I don't think any reasonable person would disagree with that. Crossing guards are essential. So this is not, and I repeat, this is not about a debate about whether or not to have or not have crossing guards. We need to have crossing guards. Now, what the debate is about is who is the proper entity or the most proper entity to pay for them. All of us know that crossing guard salaries are paid for by taxpayer dollars. Some of it comes from the city of Beaumont, some of it comes from the Beaumont Independent School District at this time. My view, this is my view, it is the job of the Beaumont Independent School District to get children safely to school, combined with the parents. That is how I look at it, whether it be on a school bus, on a bicycle, whether they're walking, or whether they're in a car or carpool. It is the parents and the job of the school district to get children safely to and from school. That's the way I see it. And I believe it is more appropriate in that regard to have the school district pay this. There was a time where BISD did not have their own police force. That is not the case any longer. There was a time where BISD was in dire financial situations. That is not the case any longer. The times have changed, and we must change along with them. So I do believe there are many ways to collaborate with the school district, and I believe the idea of having a joint session with the school district and the Beaumont City Council should be explored. I think we should do that. I would like to see that happen. But this needs to be done after the election. When new faces, this needs to be done after the election.
Please.
When new faces are on the city council and on the school board, because those are the people that are going to have to be dealing with this situation going forward. This is funded throughout this year. There's nothing pressing about this right now that makes it need to be done today unless it's being done for political purposes. So I'm seconding the motion to table this till we can have a joint session.
Mayor,
So,
I call for the vote on the motion that's on the floor.
yes, okay. Is that proper? Help me.
The council's rules of decorum, as you have adopted them, indicates that when a motion is on the floor and an amendment is offered, the amendment shall be acted upon prior to action on the main motion. As I understand, Councilmember Neal's motion is a motion to defer.
So he said it was a motion,
separate-
so are you making an amended motion? That's what I was
I'm
gonna
making an
ask you.
amended motion to table this vote until after we have a joint workshop.
So it's not a new, that's how I understood him to say he made a motion, but if he's amending, asking for an amendment, do we have to, take action on that one first?
If it is an amendment, true amendment to her motion, then you'd have to act on his amendment. first.
Understand, but that's not what I thought it was at first.
It's an amended motion.
And I second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to table this until, I guess, after the election.
I'm not concerned about after the election. We can do it this week.
Well, that's what the second said, so,
Mayor, his
Yes.
motion is on the floor.
yes, I understand. So,
Clarification.
okay, he's asking that we table this, not decided on the date, and meet with the school board as in a joint meeting or a work session with the school board.
Can we do that next week?
Mayor,
I'm gonna call for the vote.
Well, I know, but I'm asking for
No.
clarification.
What do you want to know?
Well, real simple, Mayor. He amended this motion. Mike talked about something else, but I don't think that's what Taylor said. Taylor said, can we table this and set up a workshop? He didn't say when. Mike said after the election. Taylor
Correct.
didn't.
I understand.
So my clarification is, Taylor, do you have a date specific in mind that you would, so when we're voting on it, we're voting on something that's going to happen before August the 16th?
He
Mayor?
can't speak for the school board. I'm going to ask for the vote. I'm trying to,
Okay.
please. I understand where you are. So.
And I
there's-
want to make sure it's clear what I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm calling for the vote on the amendment.
Understand. So we're calling for a vote on the amendment to table. We can't really say when because we can't speak for the school board and when they could meet. But I do think we know what their opinion is on this, and so I don't know what that would do. However, I will call for a vote on the amended motion. All in favor of tabling this item, please signify by saying aye.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, show of hands, ayes, please. Noes? Okay, the motion carries to, table this item. Okay. Now would be the time for any citizen who wishes to speak. If you would like to make public comment today on any item, now's the time to do so. If you haven't already done so, please fill out the green slip at the rear of the room and hand it to the city clerk. She will call out your name. We'd appreciate it if you'd keep your comments to 3 minutes. The green light will come on when you approach the podium, and the red light will come on when your time is up.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Landry Roundtree, 1565 South Major Drive, Beaumont, Texas. Carol.
Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council. On the 30th of March, I'd like to make a quote that Mr. Cooper, the city attorney, made. I deal in facts and truths as a lawyer. Last week, I talked about how that limited facts could be deceiving. The more truth that you want to find, how you might want to have all the facts that you can. He then read a arrest affidavit where a sergeant arrested me in March of 2014. And I would like to give some more facts about that sergeant. I know him well. In 2004.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I won't take up your time. I just can't hardly hear you. Is there someone in the back talking? If y'all would please, thank you. Go ahead. I'll give you a couple more minutes, seconds, Mr. Hunt.
In 2004, that sergeant, when a citizen requested my services in the towing business, he told him that I was no longer in service. I'm no longer in business, and he then recommended another company. And just as a sidebar, that company was a neighbor of Mr. Cooper's. In 2013, that sergeant came to my office with about 6 other Beaumont police officers of the traffic unit and requested records that I had no problem giving them, but I just didn't know why they had so many officers there. Matter of fact, I told them their actions made me feel like Dolly Parton's baby. So much for little old me. The third time I had an encounter with this sergeant, he arrested me and took me on to jail for what he thought was a violation of city ordinance. But not only do I know him, the chief of police knows him. He fired him for what he termed deadly conduct, which is against state law. And Mr. Hayes also knows him because after the chief fired him, he hired him back, and he with back pay minus 40 hours. And then finally, there's a news station in Beaumont that knows him. They did 6 stories on him in about 3.5 months. And if you go to the local news and you would find out who this sergeant is and Google his name, then you would be able to have a lot more facts to go along with the facts that Mr. Cooper provided on the 30th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree.
LaShawn Proctor, 3522 Washington Boulevard, Beaumont, Texas.
council. I came before the council to bring a little bit of light, first of all, the Washington Boulevard project where our funeral home is located. We all know that when we done that, the street was dropped 2 feet in order to do that. When doing that, they put up barriers in a sense to keep the road from falling in the ground and things like that. We're having a problem on Washington Boulevard. We've talked to the personnel that was there back in 2003, just to backtrack, back in 2003, the unapproved 9th Street, we did some petitioning and came to the city with trying to get that unapproved 9th Street to be able to use it for access to our business. Now that the street has been dropped, we have stretch limousines that we use for our funeral service for our families. We cannot get those cars out of the driveway. I've talked to the persons that was Mr. Smoking, I'm not sure of his correct name, but I think Mr. David Tingle, if I'm not mistaken, talked to those gentlemen. They came out and looked at the process and the problem, trying to just see what would be able to fix that problem that we have. The easiest way, of course, we know everything has been done. The street has been done, the driveways have been, the approachments have been done. Unapproved 9th Street is still something that's not being used. In that sense, we have 2 driveways that's on unapproved 9th Street that the city, when we did this, required us to have those driveways approachable, but the street is undone. So before we can even get our occupancy, when we done this back in 2014, now up into the day 2021, that street is still not usable. And at this point, since the street has been dropped, we cannot get our limousines out of that driveway. That's the other ones are 2. We have 5 driveways altogether. 3 that on Washington Boulevard, 2 that's on the unapproved 9th Street. 2 of them that's on Washington Boulevard cannot be used because they're so narrow. One of the problems that I think that we're going to have is we had to do a turnaround in the back for the fire truck. And when we understand once the street is widened, then you have to go into the opposing traffic to be able to make that turn. But right now, it's inaccessible for us to be able to use that driveway. So we're trying to get some type of resolve and see how we can get to the city. I know that Mr. Tingleton brought it to Mr. Hayes' attention from what they told me, but it was shot down and said that it wouldn't be done. If we're a business and we're trying to service the community and put a business in this city, if we do something and it's not fixable in a sense, how can the city help us to be able to do this? This is just one of the things that we're trying to do with Washington Boulevard to make it better. We want an unapproved 9th Street to make it better. We're willing to pave that street. We're willing to make it good. But one thing about it, when you give property opposing to both property owners, which Sunlight Manor, the persons own that property, if you split it down the middle, then of course it becomes theirs. But one thing about that, we have to do all the improvement. We have to do the engineering study. We have to pay all of the money for that. Then once it's given to Sunlight Manor, they want to sell it to me. If they're not going to do anything with it, then I'm just asking, why can't the city give us that property? We'll do everything that we need to do in order to make it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Proctor.
Jewel Ragsdale, 5475 Sunbury Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Mayor, council.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope y'all remember me. I was in here before Easter about my neighbors across the street. And Sunday night, well, this goes on all the time, but just this past Sunday night, they started working on vehicles at 11, continued to 2:30 a.m. We were up all night with the police. The first time they came out with 3 policemen, they told my husband that if they had to come out again, they would issue a citation and a ticket. But I've got an audio I want y'all to listen to. I'm good at this part. And you can tell the officer leaves after talking to these group of 9 men working on 3 different vehicles. You can hear that they don't even stop. The policemen have not even left our yard. And we do not live directly beside them. They live adjacent across the street. And so I want to play that and what the officer had to say.
Happens all the time. Yes, sir. We come out here quite a bit. We're familiar with it. Have y'all said anything about the ones working underneath there? Can they work all night on that shit? My partner here advised them that they need to stop it for the night, and that that means all of them, right? Night. Yes, sir. And we advised them that they give them a ticket if they kept this throughout the night. Okay. All right. So most times you just drive by or don't say nothing, or if you do stop, they start right up right up y'all with you.
Like I sit and listen to that crap. And when you're windows here, they're not insulated. They're old windows. You can hear everything. And I get up at 4:30, go to work every day. I understand. All right. I've already talked to my wife talked to city council last week. So we're just trying to getting a hold of this stuff. So it ain't bad. It's raining out down the road. You see all the marks down the road. Well, we've had more issues with shots fired and stuff at that house. So that's big. And there's a lot of stuff I just don't call and get tired of calling. You know? Yeah, I understand. All right, appreciate you guys. Yes, sir.
We called police 2 times after that even. They were never issued any tickets, any citations. You could hear in the background after they left that residence talking to my husband, you could hear they were still working. They were still doing it. They just laughed at us. You could hear the police officer yawning. I mean, it was a big thing. So yesterday, about 11:30 in the afternoon, we got retaliation.
You can probably hear the music. I'm in my home, and it's been playing 3+ hours. We've called the police twice, but called again, told them to stop by, knock on the door, and they do come.
Ms. Rexdale, is it almost over?
So,
Is it almost over?
since that first
Okay.
call, and this is a result because last night they worked on vehicles, and we called police from 11 to almost 2 a.m. in the morning. So this is retaliation. Yeah.
Thank you.
I am standing inside my home while this is playing. I'm inside my home hearing this loud music.
Yes, ma'am.
And I called the police, and they came out, and they said, there's nothing really we can do. He goes, but they have speakers waist high on
I
outside their
understand,
home.
Ms. Rexdale, but your time is up, so let us discuss this afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Segee, 2565 Laurel, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
You know, when I first was appointed to be or elected to be the president of the board, I came here to the council, and I asked you all to help me build a bridge between the city of Beaumont and BISD. We haven't done that. We decided to put a fence up. And I'm trying to understand why. Those children are the city's responsibility when they cross that street. We're not asking you for anything additional to what we've asked before. This is an agreement that we have been having for 12 years, I think, to where we're sharing this cost of these crossing guards. These are your citizens. These are your little citizens that are crossing that street to get to the district. It's not BISD responsibility. As Mike said, it's not their responsibility. It is the city of Beaumont's responsibility. You maintain the roads, they're your roads. BISD don't have any roads. They haven't built any roads. Again, I asked for a bridge, and I'm getting a fence. I really don't understand why a workshop need to happen between BISD and the city of Beaumont. This is really simple in my head. These are your citizens. These children belong to you. BISD is in the education business. We don't own any roads. We don't own any sidewalks. They belong to the city. And I think that it may be different if you perhaps had a child walking to school, going across the street with a crossing guard. I think if you had a child, it might look at it differently. But I'm hoping that when y'all do have the workshop, that you could come to the agreement. I hope that. And in fact, I pray that. We need the city of Beaumont to go hand in hand with BISD. That is the only way that the city is going to get stronger, better, and attract more people here to Beaumont, Texas. We need your help to educate these children. I asked for a bridge, and you gave me a fence. I don't understand why you got to talk behind closed doors about that. I'm glad it was back on the agenda. I mean, because now the city get to see those who voted against this program. I'm hoping that the citizens take that in consideration when it's time to go in that ballot curtain and vote. These are your streets, your sidewalk. They're my children as the president of the board, but they're your responsibility as they cross the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Segee.
Brooksea East, 2128 Orange Street, Beaumont, Texas.
Hi. I'd like to reiterate what I was speaking about 10 minutes ago. When I said there are 320 registered sex offenders, that is in the avenues only, okay? And they are not 2,000 yards away, which is the legal distance they need to be away from the schools, okay? There are 40% of children who have a shortage of food in the avenues. There are children who are going to the 3rd grade and who do not know how to read or write. So there is an issue where the children are being abandoned and neglected. So why this is even tabled or on the agenda to begin with is beyond me. There should be better partnership, undoubtedly, to help the children. We should be lifting the children up and giving them every opportunity. And some of these children rely on the schools for the food completely. I mean, there's a huge issue. So we should be talking about bigger things than whether there's going to be a partnership with the Cross Guard or not, especially the fact of all the registered sex offenders or the ordinance at Fletcher Mini Park that's being held together by a piece of plywood. There are grown men there daily drinking 40s. That's beer. If I was a mother, I wouldn't send my children there. I mean, I don't even understand why this is on the agenda. It's kind of embarrassing. We need to back our youth up. We need to educate them better. I'm done, but to table it is that's unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable. Just like it's unacceptable that it's on the agenda. It should have never even been an issue in the first place. But 320 registered sex offenders in the avenues alone. So that I think I counted probably 13 schools within the radius. That's embarrassing. I mean, how do y'all feel about the children, really? You know what I mean? God has a hand on those children, not the city council. So we need to do the right thing and start addressing larger issues like regulating the pollution, because that's also in the wasteland. I'm finished.
Thank you, Ms. East.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Is there any other citizen who wishes to speak today? Okay, there appears to be none. I will move on to council member comments, but before I do, I would like to read that at the close of the city council meeting, the council will hold an executive session to consider matters related to contemplated or pending litigation in accordance with section 551.071 of the government code, proposed satisfaction and release of a city lien on property located at 3565 College Street, docket number 2021-0039-MWD-E, City of Beaumont, TPDES permit number WQ001050120. I will move now to council member comments. I started over here last week. I'll start over here. Councilmember Getz.
Thank you, Mayor. We are less than a week away from the beginning of early voting. I hope everybody is planning to go to the polls and do your civic duty. Because of the early voting being used at Rogers Park Community Center, regular Dallin West Neighborhood Association meeting, which would have occurred next Tuesday, is moved up to tonight. And we have two very distinguished speakers that will be there. Our Public Utilities Director, Barbara Kobiak, is going to be there, along with Mike Harris, the Director of our Water Department. As all of us know, over the past year, we've had a lot of challenges from time to time in the Water Department. This is an opportunity for citizens to come and get their questions answered factually, and I hope they take advantage of that. And we will see you tonight beginning at 6:30 with the social hour, or social half hour. The meeting starts at 7. Again, this is at the Rogers Park Community Center. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Neal.
No comment.
Councilmember Felshaw.
Thank you, Mayor. When we first approached this issue of the crossing guards and voted on it, at that time, I voted to sever that financial connection between these two taxing entities. I knew that the amount of money we were talking about would have no great impact on the city's budget or the school's budget. For me, at the time, it was a house cleaning issue. It's my understanding from those in finance that really these two taxing entities should be separate when it comes to these two budgets. And so for me, it wasn't a statement of I don't care about children and I don't support the school district. It was just, as I said, a house cleaning issue. Afterwards, it was communicated to me that the school board and others had taken it that we were telegraphing a message that we don't care, and that's very unfortunate because it's just not true. I do care. This is a debate. Debate can be healthy and it can be good. It deals with two opposing forces or two opposing opinions coming together to debate, to find compromise, to find the best solution for our citizens, and that's the way it should be. We can agree to disagree. But today, several people made the comment that we need to come together, and I agree. We absolutely need to come together, and that's why I believe this work session is a good proposal. It's a good compromise for today. It's obvious there's a lot of passion in the room over this issue, and so I think it's good and right that we come together, the City Council and the school board, and let us discuss this, and let this be a catalyst to open up discussion of other ways the City Council can support the school board and the school district. We are seeking solutions to challenges for our city, and we're never going to find those solutions just with City Council or just with the school board. There's going to have to be a partnership with civic, business, and religious leaders coming together to find these common sense solutions for these challenges that we're facing that are convoluted and complicated. And so don't leave here today frustrated. Leave here today encouraged that we're calling for a work session to sit down and to reason together, to find a pathway forward, to address these issues. It's not about $90,000. And as Councilman Getz said, this program is already funded for this year, and it's on a 3-year phase out. This isn't something that has to happen today, and it begs the question, why was it even brought up today? We need to come together, and we need to discuss these issues as a council and as a school board. We need to come together, but I don't want you leaving here today frustrated. I want you to leave here today encouraged that we are trying to sit down and to find these solutions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Pate.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Felshaw. Communication is the key, and the way to do that, sit down and talk about it. It isn't something we had to do today, and we will. But communication's always the key. And some of us that have known each other for a long time know I feel exactly that way. We may not always agree on everything because we can't. But we will work together. I came up in BISD. We don't even have my school anymore, French High School. Still think it's the best school ever because it was in the song. So I have a lot of confidence that we can sit down and work through all this. And a whole lot more things. There's other things we can work together on that haven't been brought up that I know that BISD and the city can do if we look down the road and not just take one thing at a time, but have a vision of where do we want to be in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. Some of us won't be here. That's just how it is. But we're doing this for our kids, and we're all on the same page. Some of us sing soprano, some of us sing tenor, some of us sing bass. Some of us can't sing at all, but we're trying. But patience is a virtue. I read that. Also, I want to congratulate Lamar University soccer coach Steve Holloman, who once again has done really magic with his team. He only has 12 players, and he still managed to finish second. And the Southland Conference Tournament will be hosted right here at our university, Lamar University. We need to keep in mind that not everybody has one, and we've got a great one. So congratulations to Coach Holloman and the Lamar women's soccer team. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Samuel.
Thank you, Mayor. If it's a sunshiny day outside and I begin to feel water falling on my head, I think I better look up and see what it is. Don't walk away frustrated, walk away encouraged. We should debate when money is not an issue. $90,000 is not an issue. We should have healthy debate. This is convoluted, complex. The streets of Beaumont is this city's responsibility. It was very clear. The school buildings, the education inside is the responsibility of the school district. Once it comes to the right-of-way, they have no control of what happens in the streets. Those are our streets. But we're going to debate whose responsibility it is. We're going to wait until next week, till after voting starts, after the election. Okay. If it's raining outside, you might not want to go get an umbrella. You might need to take another look. A lot of people are not as crazy as they appear to be, or they may act.
Councilmember Mouton.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, it's been said, why was it brought up today? It was brought up today because I believe this council has a responsibility to deal with what needs to be dealt with right now. Why wait and bring it on the new administration? Because there will be some changes up here. There will be some changes with some people that have probably never, ever sat on this side of that podium. And because it was started with this administration, we're the administration to fix it. It doesn't need to be debated on. It doesn't need to be communicated. There are 3 board members from BISD that are here today. So it appears that if there was just one more board member here, then you would almost have a quorum yourself present. And with 3 board members here, I don't think that BISD board members have a problem with the situation. I think we see where the problem lies. I think you saw where the vote was taken today. And so I hope that BISD can get back with us ASAP so that we can have the conversation to put it back on the agenda, because I will put it back on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rutan. Do you have anything, City Manager? Okay, thank. Okay, first, think we've talked about this enough. Streets are ours. That's all I can say. Traffic is ours. It's not really worth, $90,000 isn't worth this controversy between two entities. I'm sorry, it's just not. And I do know that BISD has worked very closely with us during natural disasters. I've been through a lot of them. The one that I think about that took a lot of time was actually, if I get the wrong hurricane, let me know, but I think it was Laura, and we were in the pandemic, and we were concerned about if we did have to shelter, the social distancing issue. And every classroom, every building, the Emergency Operations Center worked with BISD to use those as shelters. Thank God that we did not have to do that. But the plan was there, and they were ready and willing to do that, along with buses. And I said enough earlier about that, but that's where I see the biggest partnership, because honestly, we don't have the resources to do some of the things that we've had to do in the past. When we've had to evacuate the city, we don't have the transportation to do that. We have to partner with the BISD, and we want them to partner with us. And as I said, it's just not worth it to me. But with that being said, on a more, a better note, Neches River Festival is going on now. Hopefully the parade this Friday will not be rained out. I know they've planned a very large parade. It'll be in the paper if you haven't already seen the route. I hope people will come out, because as I understand it, from the organization, that every single school in the city is going to be represented in that parade. And that's excellent, because I don't think that was always the case. So I appreciate that, and I think it'll be a great parade that should bring our city together, celebrating our river. And I asked earlier, I don't know if y'all remember or if you watched this meeting last week, but I did a proclamation for the Neches River Festival, and I relinquished my reins for a week to the king. And did we not know that our king was going to be our own city manager, Kyle Hayes? So I asked him today how he liked that week, and he said he'd leave it to me. He knew. So congratulations, Kyle. We're very proud for you of being the king for the Neches River Festival. The festivities have been going on all week, and they'll continue, as I said, and the parade and the street fun will be happening this Friday night, if you don't already know. But it's all there. If you go to their website or to the media, you can find out more about that. So with that, again, congratulations. And we are now going to recess into executive session.